Hello, and thank you for joining Expert Corner, where we sit down with Salesforce experts and product owners to learn more about the products that matter to you, Salesforce admins. My name is Leanne Reimel. I'm a Salesforce admin evangelist, and I'm excited today to sit down with Angela Kirchhof, Director of Product over at Slack. Before we dive into the content, please take a look at our forward-looking statement and remember that all purchasing decisions should be made with currently available technologies. Let's go meet Angela. Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So we're really excited to learn more about Slack and what it means for Salesforce admins. But, before we dive in and start hearing about all the cool stuff you're working on, I'd love to introduce you to our admin audience. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with Slack, what you do with Slack, and maybe some fun facts so we can get to know you?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm Angela Kirchhof. I'm a director at Slack on our developer platform. And I've been here for just under 3 years. And I've always worked on our platform team. So when I joined Slack, I came in to help bring new product to market, which is the Workflow Builder tool. And that's a no-code tool to help our Slack users learn how to kind of customize their Slack experience. Let's see, some fun facts. I think I'm based out of Denver, Colorado, and I've been here for about 3 years. I have 2 small kids. And yeah, I think that's probably it.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to have you on today and to have you as a colleague at Salesforce now and to learn more about Workflow Builder. I know one of the things that we've spent some time talking about is what's the impact here for these types of Slack tools for Salesforce admins? And before we dive into that, though, let's learn a little bit more. Let's make sure we're all operating with the same knowledge and that everyone's on the same page. I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit more about Workflow Builder and kind of what that means for Slack and what that is.
Sure. So Slack is really, it might look like a messaging tool, but what our bread and butter is getting a lot of people to organize and communicate and work in channels. And channels just bring a level of transparency that can really help an organization work on projects across many different people, several locations. And what Workflow Builder does is that it actually brings a layer of really simple automation on top of that kind of coordination of work that's happening in Slack. And the most exciting thing about Workflow Builder is that it doesn't require any coding. So it's one of our no-code automation tools. And it really does a lot of very simple things, which makes it easy to use for just about anybody. So you don't have to have any knowledge of how workflows work technically. All you need to do is know how you want a process to start. And then you kind of walk through the product to route messages to different channels or different people. And that really, we're finding it's saving customers a lot of time. It's a really low effort way to see some efficiency in their work.
Well, I know our admins in the audience who maybe haven't heard of Workflow Builder before are probably very excited. We are a group of people who love to automate things, love to find efficiencies. Can you tell me some of the things that you've seen? If admins are out there thinking about, okay, I want to make a workflow, can you tell us a little bit about what are some of those big use cases you see or places that admins should look for, maybe places to build workflows?
Sure. Yeah. So I think really there's kind of 3 or 4 hallmark use cases that we see just about every customer get some mileage out of. The first is really just simple team onboarding workflows. And so what you can do is you can send content to folks, collect information when they join a channel or when they join a workspace. So we're seeing a lot of customers move part of their employee onboarding program into Workflow Builder. When you think about something as straightforward as an employee onboarding, you do the same set of tasks with every single cohort that comes in. Sometimes you're making some tweaks to the process, but generally it's a lot of manual work that could be automated. And so one of the nice things about moving that into Slack is it's a great way to connect people with their team into the channels where they'll be working, and just sending people the usernames of the folks that they'll be working with. So we see it a lot for onboarding. The second use case that we see often is any sort of like a request flow. So one thing that often happens in Slack channels is you get people posting in there and asking for something from the people who are running the channel. And so often the requester doesn't have all of the information up front. And that just creates a ton of back and forth between the people who can help out and the person who's asking for help. And so a really simple workflow that you can add to your channel is a shortcut triggered workflow that opens up a form when someone clicks a button, and it just standardizes the intake of all of the information so that the team that's responding to the request has everything that they need right up front. And so that saves just a ton of time. And it also really clarifies the expectations for the person who's looking for help. I would say the third really key use case is in like team stand-ups. So you can have a message that gets posted into the channel at the same time every day, or repeats every couple of days, once a week. And it just kind of prompts the team for what their updates are, what they're working on for the day. And no one needs to remember to post that. So, you no longer have to set yourself a reminder to do that post at 9 a.m. And, that's something that's so easy to set up. It takes probably 2 minutes to configure, and then it's kind of taken care of for you and for your team. I would say the fourth use case that we see a ton is any sort of like a triage or escalation flow. So if you have a channel where you need to report that there's an outage or there's an urgent issue, again, moving kind of those reports in a standardized format using a workflow into a channel, not only ensures that you get all of the information that you need to respond to the incident, but it also puts it in a public channel where it's transparent and people can come and follow along with the progress of the resolution for the incident.
Well, those sounds like some great use cases. I know my team is using a number of those workflows today, and they've really helped us be effective, particularly around onboarding and like even onboarding people to groups and all or to channels. And then also the stand up. We just implemented a stand up workflow, and it has been a huge win for us to get all of that information in one place, to prompt everyone to share it. I know you have, been working with Slack customers for a long time and seen those use cases like you shared today. What are some things that, as Salesforce admins who love automating and they build a lot of automations, what are some of those questions that maybe Salesforce admins can ask, or things that they can kind of seek out in their business units to find those opportunities that you mentioned?
I think that's a great question. A really good place to start is by identifying what are some of the things that you find yourself doing often for teams across your organization that are just a little bit different every time. So we have one large customer who really started by solving a single problem for a specific business unit. And it was, again, kind of around that, collecting information, assigning someone to, execute the task, and reducing the time to resolution. And so what they found is actually when they start looking around the business, there are a lot of examples of that exact same workflow where maybe the content is tweaked a little bit, the questions change, the process might be a tiny bit different, but the pattern is really similar. And so I think that is one way to identify some of those repeatable processes.
Awesome. So I feel like we're very excited about Workflow Builder. We've talked about some cool use cases. I know our admins love a demo. They love to see tools in action. And I believe you said that you've got a demo that you can share with us today and give us some insight into Workflow Builder and really what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. So what I'll walk through today is first, how to find Workflow Builder, kind of what you'll see when you join for the first time, you open it up for the first time. And I'll show the way that you can kind of take a couple of our pre-built templates and customize them for you. And I think the thing I would love for folks to walk away from this today is knowing just how simple it is to get started, and to really view Workflow Builder as a tool that empowers not just you in an organization, but just about everybody in your team, because it is so easy to use that just about anyone who has this type of a problem to solve can go in and build it out for themselves. Okay, great. So I have a demo team set up here, and the first thing I want to walk through is where to find Workflow Builder. So you can find it in a couple ways, but the most reliable, easy place to find it is right up here in this workspace menu under Tools. Open up Workflow Builder, and it comes in a new window. And I am someone who has built a ton of workflows. So I just land on all of my workflows that I've created. But if you're a new user and you've never used Workflow Builder before, you'll actually land on this template page, which gives you a little bit of a nudge and a set of examples that you can easily build off of, which is a great way to get started as you're learning the tool. So first, let's look at that onboarding workflow, a warm welcome for new teammates. And that's just honestly, if you have a project channel or a team channel and in Slack, you should definitely have one of these workflows. So this is a really broadly applicable workflow that just about anybody can set up and use in Slack. So you do need to tell the product which channel to be watching. So let's go ahead and pick a team channel here. And now you have the overview of the workflow. So it always starts with a triggering event. So the one that we picked is when someone joins a specific channel, and then it sends a message to the person who joined. So this is a really, really simple workflow, but you can actually add additional steps in between. You can maybe send many messages to this person. One of the interesting ways that you can apply this is kind of a self-paced content onboarding. And the way you do that is you add buttons to kind of continue through the message. So you could send a message and just say, welcome to the team, but you could also add a button here that, says continue, or I'm ready for the next information, and send another message. And this could have, maybe you have a form that they need to complete. You want to gather some basic information about the team member. Maybe you want them to read some documentation. You can provide all of those links here. And the nice thing is that, again, being self-paced, the person doesn't receive this message until they're ready. So they can just kind of click through this workflow on their own time. And we find that that's just a really good application for welcoming folks to either a channel or to Slack or to your workspace, whatever it is. So that's it. It's really straightforward. I can come in here and I can do a ton of formatting on this message. I can add links. I can add all sorts of information. I'm actually going to just remove this button. We'll save it. And then the next thing I do is just publish that, and it's going to be added to my Project Echo team. So we can go over here, open in Slack, and we see that a workflow has been added to the channel. I will show what it looks like by just leaving the channel real quick, and then we'll rejoin. All right. And when I join, I should get a message from Slackbot down here. It says, hey, welcome to the team. So that is just a really, really straightforward example for that onboarding one. Like I said, it's pretty much applicable to everybody. You can find a use case for this. I'll show one more slightly more complicated workflow. And that will be, we'll do that triage example and just asking for help. Again, so this is, we have to assign the channel where we want this workflow to start. And so this starts from a shortcut. And shortcut is a button that's in the message composer in Slack, and it will show any of the team related or the channel related actions or workflows that you can take. So again, let's go ahead and stick this. We'll stick it in account marketing this time, and it will say, marketing requests for help. Oh, there we go, validation. We'll just say marketing request. Okay. And since this is starting from a template, we actually already have, the workflow built out here. I can just go in and make a few changes. So again, it starts when someone clicks the shortcut for marketing requests in this channel. And then what it does is it opens up a form. And if I actually click edit here, I have kind of a form creation tool. I can go and I can modify any of these questions. I can change the question type. I can add questions, and then I have the opportunity to either automatically just send the responses to the channel or in a direct message to output the data that someone fills in. But in this example, we actually have formatted that a little bit in this next step. So I have a second step that sends the message to the channel where the workflow started. So this is a variable that you can pick. You can either send it directly to the person who made the request, you can send it to wherever the workflow started, or you can pick a channel and just kind of hard code it into the workflow. But you can apply all sorts of formatting again here just to make those requests a little bit easier to read as they come in. I think that makes a big difference in just kind of the scannability for content in a channel. So people can just pop in and kind of see a quick overview of what's here. You always will get a preview of what your message is going to look like. And then we'll go ahead and save. And then it looks like this one also sends a confirmation message to the person who made the request, which is kind of a workflow best practice. Always let the person engaging with the workflow know what to expect, especially for these kind of triage requests workflows. So same thing, we'll go ahead and publish it. And if we come here, I can either click on this button right here and find the marketing request, or I can actually use my keyboard to type in a / command and start typing, and it will pop up if you're someone who likes to use your keyboard instead of your mouse. Okay, so I get this form popped up right here. One little known feature is that you can actually pop this out into a new window, which makes it way easier if you are referencing something in another channel. So you can come over to another channel, copy and paste some of that content in here. Let's see. And then we submit and sends 2 messages, one into the channel so that other folks know that there was a new request made, and then one to the person who submitted the request just with a thank you and letting me know how quickly to expect a response. The last thing I will show is actually something that I think would be a really great solution for a lot of folks in this audience. And that is that, we only have 2 of these really basic steps that are Slack native steps built into the Slack product, but we support steps from Slack apps. And so you could either install Slack apps like the Google Sheets app and get steps to populate data into a spreadsheet from Google Sheets. I have a couple of other examples here. This is ToDoBot, and it integrates with a to-do app and creates to-dos from these workflows. And so you could imagine that every single time a request is filled out using that form step, it could create a to-do for you in your ToDoBot app to be able to track it there. So a great point of integration. I think the most exciting part is that not only do we support steps that are coming from apps that are listed in the Slack directory, but you could also write your own custom app with your own custom steps and then apply those into your workspace. And so everybody in your workspace would have access to those steps. So if you're an admin that can write integrations into your own custom systems and you have steps that you want to add and make available to everyone in your team, that's a great way to kind of extend the power of Workflow Builder through your own custom integrations.
Awesome. Well, that is a lot of really cool stuff to see in the demo. I did not know you could pop out the window like that. That's a pro tip straight from the source. And now I know I can do that. Thank you. So I feel like, all of our Salesforce admins that are listening, if you're Slack users, if you haven't started using Slack yet, this is a really great time to start learning how to build those workflows, learning how to find those efficiencies for your users. Any parting thoughts, Angela, for our Salesforce admins or any kind of lessons learned? No, Any parting thoughts for our Salesforce admins?
Yeah, I think, what we've really seen with our customers who have adopted Workflow Builder is that it often just takes one or two people inside of the organization to start creating workflows and adding them to channels. And then the rest of the people that you work with really see that, oh, weird, how did you do that? What is this tool? And it really kind of spreads organically from there. And so, you can really be the person who brings that change into your organization by automating these really, really simple tasks. You're not the bottleneck. So it's not like you're the only person who can create these automations. That's the really special part about this. If you are kind of the person who's championing this solution and you're showing great examples in your channels and how you're working, you're really going to inspire anyone else that has a really simple process that they could save, a few minutes here and there on. And all of those minutes add up, and it can really make a strong impact and a strong change in your team and how you do work.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much today for coming on the show and talking to our Salesforce admins, for sharing details about Workflow Builder, for showing us that awesome demo, and giving us a lot of really important places to look in our companies to see where we can find those efficiencies. So thank you again so much, Angela. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Leanne.
I hope you enjoyed that deep dive into Slack Workflow Builder. I love that tidbit about being the first one to start building workflows and it just grows organically across the company. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode like this, and follow us at admin.salesforce.com for even more admin content built specifically for you. See you next time.